our guest this evening is a wonderful friend, and I know that as you hear her tonight, you will come to see why I call her that. She's multi-talented, multi-talented. I can't even begin to tell you all the things that she has done and the familiar tunes that you have heard out of your radio and television that are a result of her. Maybe she'll hum one for us. One about coffee, perhaps. Anyway, she has been a writer and she is a wonderful artist. And of course, as you probably read in the flyer, she is also a fabulous hypnotherapist. And I don't know, maybe we'll have time to tell one of my stories with you, maybe not. But some of the sessions I've had with Susan have been pivotal in my own spiritual journey. So I'm deeply grateful to Susan for that. So this is formally, I am now saying, welcome, welcome, Susan Solovay. Yay! And so tonight, as you know, we are, oops, I did the wrong thing there. Hold on one second. Okay. This month, our message, our focus, if you will, is, of course, gratitude. I've written a couple of newsletters about that already. And of course, it is November, so that is our Thanksgiving time. But we're taking a deeper dive this month into gratitude. And we really want to get at the nugget of what gratitude feels like, how to express it, how to work with it in your daily life. And so Susan is a perfect person to talk to about this because she, as I said, embodies gratitude in my opinion. So Susan, darling, let's start at the beginning, shall we? And let's find out a little bit about when you found gratitude.
And that's a really good beginning because I was thinking it hasn't always been a natural part of my thinking, my mindset. It's been something I learned, and I kind of learned it the hard way. First of all, by finding myself in difficult situations and illnesses and difficult, tension-filled, anxiety-filled times of my life. I didn't have that tool yet. And I will tell you that, even preparing to be on this call tonight, I used gratitude. It's kind of a natural part of my tool set. When I feel anxious, there's usually another way to think about something. I was busy during the day, concerned about a negotiation. And as I got a little anxious about it, I was like, well, wait a second. Do the thing you're going to talk about tonight. What you would tell anyone. And I took a couple of breaths and I'm like, I'm so lucky I'm even in this negotiation. I'm so amazed that I have an opportunity to bid on a home that I want. I'm like, this shifted everything into like brightness instead of kind of like darkness and tension in the belly. And as soon as I did, I'm like, oh, that's that thing I do. But I had to learn it. I really had to learn it.
So let's go back. Let's go back.
I was brought up in a house full of tension.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Neurosis, tension, and what can we worry about next? It's ancestral, it's familial. I actually think that our going in viewpoint on life was expect the worst. That way, if it goes okay, you'll feel really good. Expect the worst and you can't go wrong.
You can't be disappointed.
Yeah. And I certainly picked that up over the years. And certainly life gave me a lot more than the worst. There was a lot of good things. But I'd say a real turning point was when I really needed it when I was sick. I had a pretty amazing life full of ups and downs and tensions, but I finally lived my dream and moved to the country. I was a city girl, Brooklyn, all that craziness. New York, I even went to college in the city. But my dream was to be up in the Berkshires. And it took many years of planning and dreaming it and saving money and finding different ways to make it happen. And finally, I moved here. I wanted to be here so my daughter could start first grade in the beautiful country school called Hawthorne Valley, a Steiner school, where everybody has a pet cow and there's a farm out the door. You know, I was like, that's heaven, I'm sure. And frankly, it was heaven for my daughter. But I was living up here, living the dream, not as happy as I think I might have been. And within a few years, out of what I thought the blue, I had stage 3C ovarian cancer. And that was like such a shock. I'm like, wait a second, I'm finally living my dream. I can't say I was all that happy. I was the usual mixture. The usual mixture is happy if something good happens, unhappy if something bad happens. And that was not good enough to really take care of myself. And there I was, learning. I was really open to spirituality. I was listening to Abraham Hicks. They were my teachers. And that's when I got sick. I'm like, oh, well, if there's a law of attraction, I certainly have attracted something horrific here. And I think that gave me a lot of time to rethink my thinking. Okay. I mean, who here hasn't, you know, when you get like knocked down, that's when you really take stock of what's going on. And I was already a hypnotist. I was already a hypnotherapist, which I had chosen to do so I could heal myself during my crazy years. I had used hypnosis to quit smoking and to quit sugar and to be a healthier person. But here I was really faced with what thoughts have I been thinking that have gotten me this ill? And it's not just thoughts that get anyone ill. Please do not think that, whoever's listening, you don't give yourself cancer. It's that thoughts can stress your body. And then you can't fight things off that may come from environment, genetics, wherever it comes from. So I had to listen to what I was thinking. And it took quite a while to get to some of the nuggets of what I was thinking and try to shift it. So that gives you a little background. I'll tell you an example because it'll probably illustrate it better. Here I was living in the country, living my dream. But as I'm recovering from chemo and trying to find out where my stress was coming from, I walked outside my beautiful, beautiful country backyard and I watched my thoughts. I'm like, oh, that needs to be fixed. And why isn't that weeded? And, oh, Paul said he would do that and he didn't do that. And, oh, that looks terrible. I have to do that. And I was like, what was I doing? I was not in gratitude in the least. I was in doing and worrying and fixing and perfection. And who knows, I was doing my normal thinking and I saw an opportunity to change it. That was like such a waste of my energy and it wasn't serving me. I had to rethink each one of those things. I had to look at weeds. I know you won't agree because hope you are one of the finest and neatest gardeners I know, but I had to look at the weeds and go, that's nature. Look at how she likes to grow. Oh, look at that. The vine took over that whole porch. Isn't that awesome? And it would have to be a flip to all the things I usually worry about. Like, oh, Paul didn't do that thing that he said he'd do. I'm like, yeah, but he did 12 other things. I'm amazed that I have a husband who likes to do things. There are so many people in this world who don't even put their hands in the earth. So thought by thought, I had to just flip it because I didn't want to stay sick and I really wanted to get well. I was doing normal treatments. I was taking chemo. I was doing what the doctors told me to because I unfortunately knew many people who didn't live through ovarian cancer. And I was surrounded by people offering, all kinds of interesting holistic advice. I said, I'm going to do my inner work and I'm going to just take that treatment for now. And it was probably that combination of the right treatment and the right mindset that helped me heal eventually, that helped me not get sick again and not go into remission and not be dealing with cancer. It's now 16 years. I think I met you when I was coming. I remember I still had short hair. Ladies and gentlemen, I was bald just a few months before I met Hope. Yeah, that was the kind of thinking I had to catch. So it's now a mindset.
So let's talk about the flipping, because before you could, well, first of all, you know, I've mentioned to some people on this call know this, I've mentioned this already, but there's actually, when we, to use your word, worry, there is a dopamine response in the brain that actually, the brain doesn't know the difference between worrying about something and something actually being done about it. So the brain goes, oh, she's worrying, so let's reward her, because that might mean something's actually been fixed or that something's been done. And what happens is we end up developing this loop that worry gets rewarded, and nothing's actually happened, but the brain doesn't know that the worry is rewarded. So you can see how generationally, through the lineages, how worry would be passed along as the modality, because everybody's getting rewarded when they worry.
Mhm.
It's and then of course they behave that way, and then everybody else around them starts behaving that way too.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's it's uh it's it's deeper than a habit, it's a way of
that's
life.
fascinating. And
And
I will
it
tell you,
is.
there are people, clients I've had recently and over the years who come and say, I have to worry about everyone or they won't be safe.
Right.
And
Right.
that's like, oh, be still my heart. No, 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 no. My parents thought that. We had 5 kids. My parents used to call me up, say, listen, everything's fine with this, this, and this. Are you okay? We have to worry about somebody.
Right.
As if it kept them alive. Now that dopamine thing explains that. It's as if it kept them alive. And,
Yes.
we do come from ancestry and history. There's so many real tragedies and so much, death and persecution, that worry is just in the bloodline at a certain point for all of us, but especially, a lot of families that I descend from. And feeling confident that life could be okay if you're not worrying about it. It's like a big leap.
It's a huge leap. And also, let's remember that it could feel like you're actually betraying your lineage. Like, to dare to be happy while they're all stuck in that loop, it could be like you're not a part of our tribe anymore. Or are you a part of our tribe? Like, it's a big shift,
I'm totally out of the tribe in many ways.
right.
I mean, I was the whack job during the pandemic that didn't worry that much. I'm married to worry, and everybody around me worried so much I didn't have to. They were
Right.
so on it. Honestly, I really didn't. I could just say, what's gone wrong today? Just let me know what to worry about. But I decided it was not going to be my burden. Yeah, I was not in the tribe on that.
No, me
No.
neither. Now, let's go back to though, so to disengage from worry, which, encompasses fear and anxiety, and of course stress hormones are released as well as the dopamine.
Yeah.
And the stress, of course, we know,
Mhm.
these stress hormones, the cortisol is very corrosive to our bodies. And so it's not, I want to get at the flip it bit, because that 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 you said you noticed your brain, you noticed your mind and how it was working. And I've often said, it's not enough to just, if you have a habit, it's not enough to just stop the habit. What works really better is to replace the habit, right? So, so here you were, uh, noticing, and I'm only saying this because it's the littlest, tiniest things. First we might start with something big, but then it gets down to the littlest things. And so talk a little bit about how that happened for
I
you.
can give you a couple of examples because they were so startling and so important to me. Just to stay on the tragic, illness subject, I was listening to my thoughts as to like what is stressing me so much. And I have kind of a sloppy husband, and my daughter was pretty sloppy in her childhood. So my life with the two of them was like, oh wow, they were here and there's all their wrappers, and oh, they were here and there's all their papers. I knew everything everybody did because nobody put anything away. What I found myself saying, I was walking over to some pile of crap they left around. I said, ugh, they make me sick.
Oh, uh,
I had no idea I had said that to myself, but as soon as I stopped, I said, I must have said that to myself 1,000 times. Why the heck else could I possibly have gotten so sick? That's one of the things I was telling myself. And the mind listens to your words. I was like, what am I gonna, how can I flip that? They're still slobs. How do
yeah,
I flip what that's not my behavior? So because this is a practice, and just like you say, it's hard to change a thought that can't go away. You replace it, you flip it. So if the thought was, oh my God, they make me sick, I thought, how about they make me laugh? How about they just make me laugh? They're so on a different planet. You have to laugh. It's like aliens live in my house with me. I have to laugh. And that is, I flipped that one by saying, they'll make me laugh. They make me laugh. They're so different. I can't even comprehend it. And because I tried that and it was amusing, it kind of worked. I would pass my daughter's room. I don't know if any of you live with like a sloppy child, husband, friend, whatever, but I would just pass the room and go, like aliens are living there. And it felt really, really fun. That was really important to me because otherwise I was going to walk around saying, oh, they make me sick the rest of my life. So replacing a thought, because habits are habits and also thoughts are habits. I realized that must have played 1,000 times. Listen, I've had people, clients come to me and they're working on, getting better from a cancer diagnosis. I remember early on, I was working with someone and she started talking about her husband and she's like, he's such a pain in the ass and rada, rada, rada. She had colon cancer.
oh,
This was not unrelated. She was not someone who believed in all that, but after she heard herself say it, I said, let's work on another way to look at him. He's amazing. He's warm. He's fun. Nobody's perfect. You change the dialogue inside.
mhm.
I'll give you one more story.
Yeah.
I could give you 100, but this is this was one I have always remembered. But I was getting sore throat. When I don't feel well, that's the first place it goes in my body. I get like swollen glands and a sore throat, and I was starting to feel feverish. And it was December 30th, and I had a sore throat, and I was expecting a lot of company December 31st for New Year's Eve party, and I was pissed off. I was pissed off because my husband wasn't home and nobody was helping me. But I was paying the price. My body was paying the price for that piss off and for that mood and for that anger. And again, I was new to all this, but really practicing. I go, well, I know I'm creating something here. I can't be letting all the light in if I'm angry and pissed off. What can I do to change that? And I did take a cup of hot lemon water. That's also important. And I laid down and ran appreciative pictures of what was pissing me off, which was at that time my husband. And I just ran pictures until I got a picture in my mind of how much I love him, how much fun he is when we do have a party, how much cooking he does, how he shines in the middle of the kitchen, and people come and go, and he just takes care of everybody. It's literally like changing a gear.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the tightness loosen up to appreciation, to ease. And then I fell asleep. So that's a good thing to do if you want to get better from some minor thing at any time, or have a headache, go away. A couple of sips of warm lemon tea and lay down and appreciate someone. That worked so well. I woke up, an hour or so later, no sore throat, fabulous New Year's, all was well. And it changed my attitude. I mean, it changed the script I was running. That was not going anywhere nice. That was not going anywhere fun. That was going to go like so south. And then I was going to be sick for my own party, and I was going to yell at everybody. And oh yeah, lots of fun. So it's like another path. It's like taking a right turn off that path you're going down, and just don't go there. So
those are fabulous stories. And I think, would you say that appreciation / gratitude, which they're slightly different, but let's put them together for now, is your first stop when you're flipping the thoughts?
Actually, no, but it's the most important. I also sometimes am in a position where it's just, I don't like what's happening. What would I prefer?
Mm-hmm.
That's my other favorite mind flip. What would I, these friends are talking and nobody's including me. What would I prefer? I'd prefer to be part of it. So I go do that. I try to give myself a better thought in that way. But anytime it's anxiety, unhappiness, resentment. Ooh, that one's really probably corrosive, as you said. I don't always catch it that quick. I try. I mean, it used to be like 5 months. Then it was, a few years. I don't know. Then it was a few hours. I try to get it within 15 minutes if I can, because it feels so bad. And so I would say appreciation, gratitude. I find them very similar, but appreciation is sort of like what you feel towards the person, or towards a situation.
Yeah.
I almost every day I work with someone who gets on the phone and they're in a deep funk about something. Okay. This job I took sucks because this one person is pissing me off and yada, yada, yada. And it's all real. It's all real. I mean, everything is how you want to look at it. And within a few minutes, I'm like, okay, but is that person also offering you something? Let's just talk about whether there's anything at all to be appreciating them. And almost always it's like, well, yes, that person is teaching me this thing and it's really going to be good and blah, 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 blah. You don't have to love them forever, but you don't want to give yourself a rock in your chest every time you go to work. You want to think, he's not my favorite person, but he's teaching me X, Y, and Z, and I'm just going to love him for it. That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense? It is a
Absolutely.
really quick, I mean, it's an overall awesome tool.
Yeah.
It's a change of vibration. It's
Completely.
literally changing you from one of the lower vibrations. And if you can't get all the way there, as Abraham always says, just get partway there. If you can't get all the way from resentment to appreciation, get partway there. Just say, I don't have to live with this person the rest of my life, but I like some things about them. So you get partway and it lightens your load. And then from there, you can really go someplace happy and healthy and joyful.
Beautiful, beautiful. So let's talk about gratitude then. How do you work with that? How does that enter in?
Well, let's talk about what the difference is. I probably need to sort that out with you because I don't know. I think I use them interchangeably.
Well, as you said, and we're just, these are just
Yeah.
our takes on things. Other
Yeah.
people may have different ideas, but I think you're right. The appreciation is often of something out there, something, another person. Um, Gratitude to me has more of an internal um, depth. It is a true receiving of the blessing
Mm-hmm.
of a moment, a day, a person, oneself, even. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we can be grateful of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
for our choices to you know come in here to partake in this world and all of that. um Grateful that we took the chance,
Yeah.
because I believe we choose to be
Yeah.
here, and we choose to be here for a reason. And sometimes it's not an easy path. um but finding a way to be grateful, this is my big bugaboo, finding a way to be grateful even when things aren't going so swell, even when that's a depth of gratitude that I like to shoot for,
Yeah.
and that I'm interested in. So maybe you can talk a little about that.
Yeah. I actually agree. And those are the challenging, times when it's most important to reach for it. As soon as you start to feel really overwhelmed and crappy, it's so nice to take a gratitude break. Even if it's just stepping away and saying, my God, I have first world problems, like just that alone, like lifts it. Or, wow, at least, I'm worrying about something that is so insignificant in the scheme of things, that it helps you just really be present and grateful for what is. Just like three people could be taking a walk and one is, complaining about the weather and the other one's complaining about something else. And you're just going, damn, I'm so happy I can take a walk this morning. It's always so simple.
It,
So
it is.
simple.
It is
Even
simple.
when somebody feels like they don't have much to be grateful for, I just go, hello, do you like your toenails? Do you like your hands? Can you be grateful that you're breathing right now? And you can always find something to just say, oh goodness, yes. Oh yeah. So I I think that is something that you can really tap into quickly if you
Yes.
make an intention, and it changes things quickly. Probably surprises people and probably annoys them half the time. I'm probably a little bit like too, happy with things. I was driving with a friend a couple of weeks ago. We're driving in the car and I'm like, do you realize how fabulous it is? We can make it exactly the temperature we want. and we can add music. Okay. I mean, it was like we laughed a lot, but that's to me, I'm thrilled that someone invented the car and gave me all the knobs I need. You know, I used to be someone who like resent, you know, certain technology or something. I'm busy being grateful for it. I'm thrilled we're on Zoom. I don't love it every time. I really prefer to be in a room with all of you, or at least as many of you as are nearby, you know, but I'm super thrilled that Zoom exists. So I pretty much, I don't click on and go, ugh, another Zoom. I go, click on and go, yippee. I can't believe I'm talking to Hope and she's like an hour and a half away. I mean, it's pretty amazing to me. So I'm probably obnoxious half the time.
No, this is why I chose you for this segment, because
Susan, this is why we had to go back and back and back and be like, no, we need you. We need you.
so
Thank you. You did beg.
I did. Because, you know, you've spent so much of your attention, of your 10,000 hours, flipping your thoughts.
Yeah.
That, you know, I mean, look, we've had some things happen over the years that weren't that easy and disappointing, painful, you know, all kinds of things. And you have always been able to ring the high note, you know, and find some kind of blessing in it. And just keep a very, I don't call it Pollyanna, you know, you're not Pollyanna because you're not blind. Although Pollyanna was actually pretty cool.
Pollyanna was totally
I
cool.
love Pollyanna.
Let's just get that clear right now. You're right. When people go, oh, so Pollyanna, Pollyanna got that old lady out of bed.
That's right. That's right.
Cured that hypochondriac.
That's right. That's right. So
Put up those
we're not gonna actually put down Pollyanna. We're gonna say Pollyanna rocks. But you do have a solid perspective that I mean, it's just unshakable. It moves into your work.
Yeah.
So that, like you just demonstrated with the guy, you know, who was so upset about his coworker or whatever, you're able to kind of help others, you know,
Yeah.
shift their thoughts,
Yeah.
which is so important.
Yeah. Well, you know, that negative thinking is far more magnetic, far more, it gains more momentum. You start thinking some nasty or resentful thing, you'll be in a nice ball of resentment very quickly. And they've proven chemically that negative thoughts attract more negative thoughts.
Sure.
Whereas positive thoughts, I know you know this, are like Teflon. You have a wonderful thought and it just slides right through, not gathering a lot of other thoughts with it unless you purposely do something. So you kind of have to remind people it's not their fault. We go into dark, annoyed places very quickly. It probably explains why so much of the world is always fighting. But other thoughts are available. They're just not deeply embedded in our DNA to gather those until you learn this and then you do it. So learning it meant I did it. Like as soon as I learned about this, you know, I just started doing it as much as possible.
And a diagnosis like that is a really good detonator for change.
I'll give you another example, by the way, because some of you may share this. I don't know if you do or not, but early on, I realized I didn't like Facebook very much. I'd be on and then I'd see people having fun without me. And then one day I'd go on Facebook and a friend puts a picture up and there's a party and I'm not invited. I'm like, why did she have a party? It was like 2 nights ago. I know at least 3. It's not that big, but there's like 6 people there. I'm like, what the heck is that? And I was super angry. I went into like my whole wrath of anger. I'm never speaking to her again, blah, 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 blah. And that one took me a while. That's why I remember this story. I mean, there's This was a powerful one, it's like 15 minutes of stomping around and deciding I'm never speaking to this one again and that one again and blah, 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 blah. And I finally said to myself, wow, you're in a froth, What would you tell one of your clients? So I sat down, tried to flip it, and I thought, well, I usually like her. I think she likes me. Maybe there's something I don't know, something that I just don't know. And instead of stewing for another 3 or 4 days, I just wrote her a quick email like, looks like you had a housewarming and I'm not there. So just let me know, is there anything wrong? She wrote right back. She's like, my stupid husband threw a surprise housewarming. He doesn't know who all my friends are.
There you go.
I was like, if you don't grab it, it's just going to eat you up alive. And being able to do that has changed those situations. And honestly, I often still don't go on Facebook because I don't feel good afterwards. Like I feel like, oh, there's so many people I care about, and then there's the children, and then there's the things they care. Oh, then there's their politics. I want to follow that group. There's too much for me. And so I just chose to say, I'm glad it exists. So I'm grateful it's there. Everybody, I could be in touch with people from 30 years ago, but I'm choosing not to be on it all the time. But I don't curse it. Lots of people go, oh, it's an evil. Well, it is a little bit of an evil.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because there's a difference between judgment and discernment. So with judgment, we're typically, right, saying that's bad, that's good. This is woven into the 3D matrix that we're in, this dualistic world we're in. We're judging we want to put a label on it. We say, yes, this is good. Yes, that's bad. I'm going to stay away from that. Now, and we have no idea how much time we spend judging, and of course, judging ourselves.
Yes.
So, but discernment is more like what you just explained vis-a-vis Facebook. At first you were judging it, and then you moved into discernment for what was best for you.
Yeah.
And you found the good
for everybody,
Yeah.
I know plenty of my friends really enjoy it. I say, you feel good when you check off and when you spend your hour? She said, yeah. I said, then it's fabulous. For you, it's medicine. For me, it's not, So yes, discernment is so different, so much lighter than judgment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we do judge ourselves, and sometimes very harshly.
Well, and that is another that's another place is finding a way to release the judgment of self and move into acceptance. And usually what's involved with that is a great deal of gratitude. So to move out of judgment, and I'm actually going to write about this next for Sunday, I think, but to move out of judgment, if we sprinkle the gratitude on it, it allows it to turn into something else, because judgment doesn't serve us at all. Judgment keeps us separate, keeps us out of unity consciousness. It's heavy, it's old world, it's not where we're moving to, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, that is that once we bring gratitude into the mix of judgment, especially of ourselves, it starts to shift the whole story and the whole weight of it, as you said before.
Totally agree. Yeah. I will give you a story on that too, because after I discovered that lemon juice and gratitude can heal a sore throat. The next time I got a sore throat, it was like a year or two later, I laid down. I'm like, okay, so what am I upset with? Who am I angry with? I'm not letting light in. So what am I resenting? And I was mad at myself.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I'm pissed because I did X, Y, and Z to somebody somewhere. I don't remember the thing I did or what I was, but you judge yourself if you make a mistake or you forget an appointment, you whip yourself a little bit. I try not to do that as much, but I was angry at myself for something. And it was a little harder, but I did the same gratitude practice in which I laid down, had my little lemon juice. I'm like, I really want to feel better. Why am I so angry at myself? And it was some infraction. It's as if we have like a judge and a jury half the time.
Mhm.
I was guilty of some infraction. And I thought of what I'm grateful for myself for. And I had to actually get a picture of myself doing something kind to someone, which is, I have a lot of that. So, oh, there's a picture of me being really kind, and I'm really good to this person. I was really nice to her yesterday, and I was good to the cashier. And I just started running some gratitude about myself, like even grateful that I'm introspective enough to have gotten there,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And I had to see myself in a kinder light, just being kind. And gratitude gets you to kindness.
It does.
And kindness is what connects.
Mhm.
Gratitude gets you to kindness, It's so, as soon as I'm annoyed at somebody, I try as soon as possible to get to something I like about them.
Mhm.
And I had to do it for myself. And the sore throat went away. So
Beautiful. Oh, I love that.
good one.
Lemon tea and gratitude. That sounds like a book.
I was going to call it Love and Lemon Juice, but I
Oh,
never feel like writing. So it may never be written. You could put it in your book.
oh, okay, great. I'll have a chapter all about you and that. Um, Listen, I want to do you want to say anything else? Because I'd love to open it up to Q&A around now. I want to mention here that Janet wrote, Susan, you are magical and never get enough of you. One thing I love so much about you is how simply and perfectly you say no. When you say it, it's a truth, not a judgment. It's unambiguous and clear. I love it. And Janet, I agree with you.
And Janet, I am grateful to you.
Um,
Mm.
Now, if any of you want to get in touch with Susan, her website is in the chat. So make sure to click on that and copy it and paste it. And I highly recommend, let's just for a second before we get into the Q&A. Susan has studied hypnosis from a variety of teachers. And her her style is unique because of that. And it's incredibly effective, incredibly gentle, and insightful. And I trust Susan implicitly, completely, with my psyche, which we've had a few humdingers of our little journeys together. So I highly recommend if you're trying to get over something, trying to move through something, and you just are having a hard time doing it yourself, I recommend giving Susan a buzz. She's pretty busy, but she'll get to you, and I don't think you'll regret it. No, you won't regret it at all. I really recommend it. So let us move into question and answers. You can either raise your hand. I see Shira has a hand up. So why don't you kick us off, Shira?
Hi, can you hear me?
Not too well. Can you speak a little
Louder.
louder?
Better now?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
come closer.
I'm very close to my screen now. Thank you so much, both Hope and Susan, for this wonderful call. I'm looking forward to the replay because I had to be outside in the freezing cold digging up dahlias while it was still light. Anyway, that's done. Two things I'd like to contribute. I was taught once by a very wise counselor, if you can't say no, you can't really say yes. So I appreciated her comment about saying no without judgment. And my wise youngest daughter has taught me that always to ask myself how long I want to hold on to a negative feeling or a negative thought. And she gives me multiple choice. She says 5 seconds, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years. And usually by the time she's down the list, I've let it go.
That's beautiful. She's very
Wonderful.
wise.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Shira. Thank you.
And in fact, one of the stories I told you, it's like my norm used to be 5 months, 5 weeks. And then I did work it down to, tops 15 minutes. Like, I don't want to put up with that. I don't want to hold on to it. I want to move it through once you know you can. I mean, 20 years ago, I didn't know you could.
Right. Right. Well, they didn't teach us this in school. So this
And
is
they
one of
did
those
not
things.
teach me this at home.
No.
No.
Anybody?
Let's stew in our upset. Let's stew in
Right,
it for a
right.
while.
All right. Let anybody. Yes, Fiona.
This has been so good. It's really lovely the way you've talked about it. And it's helped me because what I find is that at nighttime is my weak spot. When I start all the worrying and the lists of to-dos and everything I didn't do and I should have done, and it's kind of during the day, I'm on top of it, but at night, the mind seems to get, the sovereignty. And so it's an ongoing battle of mine at the moment. And I try and do listening to my breathing or, meditating, but I've never been all that good at it. So to have something like the switch into gratitude or appreciation of specific things, I'm going to try now because I really think, that could work. So thank you very much for sharing your story with us and so beautifully. It really shows the switch from one to the other,
You will love it. You will do it more easily than you think. Because like breathing or meditating, you're trying to empty your mind, which is lovely when you can. But when your mind's all in a thing, you're actually giving it a new thing to think, which is so much more doable when you're in a very active mode. You're like, okay, I thought that 12 times. Let me try something else. List even irrelevant things that you're grateful for. Just list that you like, the way your sheets feel on your legs when you're in bed, list that you have 10 toes to wiggle, and you will find yourself laughing and lighter and moving towards the mood that you want to be in and letting go. And anything you can flip to, what's a better way? What can I appreciate about that? Wow, that's a real first world problem. That's one of my favorite ones lately. Like, oh, I'm going to really care about whether the lawnmower guy came today or not, first world.
Because, like you, I was brought up, I'm being responsible if I'm worrying about everything and thinking about everything and taking care of myself and being safe and all of that stuff,
Yeah. And like Hope said, that's like a mental habit and it's chemical, it's hereditary. It's like the world won't, if I stop worrying, the world might fall down. That's literally where I came from. But you know what? I have stopped worrying a lot and the world has gotten better. I just want you to know.
You're great. I really know it in the daytime. It's just my battleground is at night right now.
Sure.
So this is really helpful.
That's also really, really common. That's when a lot of us, as we power down, we want to let go, but something's not letting go.
Yeah.
Make a list. Make a gratitude list. It'll change your vibration quickly.
I will.
Beautiful. Thank you, Fiona. Anybody else have a comment or a question of our great guru of gratitude?
I see a hand up.
I don't.
Shira, is your hand still up or just?
Oh, it is.
Oh, it's Shira. Yeah, it's Shira again.
I want to share a couple more of my little tricks that I picked up in 88 Trips Around the Sun. One is that I consider worry payment on an insurance policy that never comes due. And let's see, what is the second one? Oh, when I want to let go, I know that my thoughts come from wherever, they're not necessarily mine, and that our answer automatic negative thoughts are about 70 to 90% of what we receive into our mind. So my technique when I have a negative thoughts is I either tell it to go out and play in traffic, or I tell it to take a long walk on a short pier. Usually works.
I love self-talk. That's nice and, feisty.
And playful too.
playful.
I mean, you don't tell
Playful.
them, your description is playful.
Go out and play in traffic. It's great. It's great. Leave.
Oh, thank you,
Show
Shira.
you the door. That was great. Thank you. And it's
And-
true.
yeah.
We spend time worrying about things. I think the percentages, you spend about 98% of the time worrying about things that never happen. So that's kind of a lot of life, we don't want to
And on that topic, in terms of magnetics, when we worry and worry and worry about something that might happen, sometimes we can actually create that. And so that's another really good reason not to do that, because we don't want to bring in, we create our own realities. So I don't think we want to manifest those things.
catch it as soon as you can.
Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I'd love to just weigh in for a minute to say thank you so much for this. Susan, I can only second what Hope has said. You are one of the most, again, unshakably authentic gratitude appreciators I've ever met. And you walk your talk every single day. And that's such an inspiration. And everything you said tonight, so inspiring, motivating. And for me, and I think this could be helpful for all of us, to remember it is a practice. And it's a practice in a way we think of a spiritual practice, but it literally is a practice, like working a muscle. So I find it's hard for me. I can get discouraged when I don't get it right away. And I see I'm easily in that habit. I'm easily in that loop. But I guess for all of us, I just want to encourage us all to keep working it and practicing, because it does get easier. And in fact, just listening to this talk, I realized that a few years ago, I really did task myself with flipping because I was always in such a negative state for all the reasons we're talking about. And, now thinking about it, reflecting, I would have to say I really have managed. I would have to say I'm about 85-15 the other direction now. And I automatically can call in those really appreciative thoughts, and it's really made a difference. So, and just thank you for being such an example, really an example. And you're just a powerhouse. You're the gift that keeps on giving. And so great. Thanks so much, Hope, for this tonight.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough. I mean, honestly, when I read the nice thing Hope wrote about me, I'm like, holy moly, that's like really loving. That's so sweet. I was so grateful to even read that. Like, everybody should read a nice thing like that from somebody or hear that. I mean, we know each other for years, but it's like just really nice to hear it. So thank you, Jan. And I completely agree, by the way. to all and everything you said. It's such a practice. That's why even, after all these years, I can still go right down that road. And when we're working with something big right now, an investment, and I'm like, oh, why am I being afraid? It's so exciting. This is an exciting, good thing. I can't believe I have the opportunity to even look at this house. So, it's a practice, and it probably never ends.
It
You just
never
get a
ends.
little better at it and a little better at it,
Yeah. Yeah, it never ends. And we can all fall off the donkey, for a while, and have to get back on. But the thing is, once we have the tool, then it's easier to get back in the habit, the better habit,
Yeah.
better habit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're almost to our hour. Karen, did you want to say something?
Just a quick thing about the worry thing. Well, one, I am very grateful that my parents did not believe worrying was a sign of love. So I'm really grateful for that. But the thing that I have repeated many times to other people is the Abraham thing, which I know you all referred to. And that really was such an image for me where she said, you can't hold the vibration of love at the same time that you hold the vibration of worry, that you can't hold them both. Now, I'm not an ear musical person, but I got the picture. And I've repeated that a zillion times to people. You can't, like, we can't. So
I love that illustration. I love
it was so impressive to me. So
yeah, I love when somebody finally makes the ineffable visual. You can memorize.
Yeah.
I believe it's Abraham.
Abraham's great teachers, great teachers.
It was so simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Sherry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, the whole worry thing too reminded me of a saying I used to remember hearing about worry is like a rocking chair. And it'll give you something to do, but it won't get you anywhere. And it's always made me laugh, so it's like, yeah, who needs to worry about that? Just give that up. So yeah, I've learned pretty good flipping it too. It's really does make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And in my early life, they believed it did get you somewhere. Like if you worry about it enough. And there are many things that you want to put your mind to and figure out and analyze and find your way, but to worry and perseverate and to keep going on and on, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Thank you, Sherry. That's funny. I've heard that too before, but I had forgotten it. I love it. Anybody else comment or question for Susan? No? Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Susan, so much for coming on for this hour. It's been fantastic, wonderful. Your stories are great, very illustrative and very helpful. And I think we are all feeling much more grateful and appreciative of our lives right now as a result. So, and we appreciate you.
Well, let's give a little appreciation to Hope for pulling this together, for being willing to do all this. No, it's beautiful. It's
Yay!
good. You're getting the light out there, my dear. You're increasing the light and the happiness quotient. So thank you. Thank you.
What I live to do.
Takes love.